Hey, this is Kevin Kelly, and you are listening to the Stardom Cast.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wondering Stardom. I am your host, Rob Good, and I am joined as ever by Matt Turner. Matt, we're getting closer to Christmas. How are you, good sir?
Rob, I am fantastic. I only have about 3 or 4 more work days left of the year. Then I'm off until I believe the 6th of January. It's getting hot and heavy and fun over here at the Turner household as I'm literally turning into a combination of Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus, Charlie Brown, and Clark Griswold. As it's exciting. I love this time of the year. So pretty much all the Christmas presents, I believe, are bought. I think I just got to get a few gift cards and then wrap some Christmas gifts. And by wrap, I mean horribly wrap them because I am a terrible rapper. But for the most part, I think I'm kind of ahead on things. I think I have one gift that's coming in after New Year's that's a little bit late, but I mean, it is what it is. But I can't complain. How's everything with you and the holiday shopping and everything over there at the Goodwin household?
Well, at the moment, I don't want to jinx anything, but this could be the most organised I've ever been for Christmas because obviously I've had a lot of time off with the foot, so I've gone to a lot. So I've been Christmas shopping. Now, you mentioned being a terrible rapper. Both me and my dear father, we're both fairly shambolic at rapping to the point where it's become a running joke that if it's not square, we will find a box to put it in so that it is square, because anything that is even remotely curved is just a mess. There's like a whole roll of sellotape on there. It's like every single bad rapping you've seen on Google, that is my rapping. But at the moment, so far, touch wood, I've got everything save for maybe 2 presents. So again, perhaps the most organised I've ever been. And that's good because I can't drive. And you mentioned, obviously, before we came on air that you were suffering a little bit of an ice storm. We've got -5, -6 at the moment. So I don't know what that equates to in Fahrenheit, because I know that obviously in America you use Fahrenheit, which confuses the hell out of me all the time when people are saying, oh, it's only 20 degrees. And we're like, what? 20 degrees is summer over in England. But yeah, how's it been going over there with the ice?
Yeah, really no problem. I was only going to take a half day at work today, and they said, no, the ice storms are my job. I'm on the road. My office is my car. I'm on the road quite a bit. So anytime that there is weather, I'll use one of my my vacation days. And so I figured, well, this weather's going to start early. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to go to the gym, come home. I still have the Stardom show from the 11th to finish, which I thought was like 7 matches, and then there was only 5. And they said I said everything's starting early, so I got up early, went to the gym, came home, got everything done, and literally the ice just started maybe about 20 minutes before we started recording. So we don't know what we're going to get. You never know. The weather people here in Pennsylvania are consistently wrong all the time. It's the best job you can probably get because the weathermen and the weather ladies have been the same forecasters for the last 20, 25 years, and they're notoriously wrong all the time. So I always tell younger people trying to go into college, I'm like, go for meteorology. They're wrong all the time, and they keep their jobs, and they make a ton of money. So it's a good place to get in. So if by chance I do cut out at all, that's the reason why. Is because anytime we get any wind or rain or whatever, kind of knocks the power and the Wi-Fi out. So if I go out, that's what it is. I didn't fall asleep. It's just that I lost some Wi-Fi. So.
Fair enough. I will just say that there's obviously a very, very, I don't know if this will have translated over the pond, but we had a very, very famous new weatherman called Michael Fish, I believe, no relation of Bobby. And he, basically, we don't get hurricanes or tornadoes or anything in Britain. We don't get earthquakes. It's a very boring country, to be perfectly honest, in terms of weather. It rains and that's it. But in the 80s, there was huge panic that we were going to get this tornado. one of the only ones we've had. And Michael Fish adamantly said on the news in front of everyone, we will not have a tornado. It's unfounded. We will not have a tornado. Sure enough, tornado tore through England. And that's become obviously a bit of a running joke now with our British weather. But anyway, enough of that, Matt. Let's talk about our Patreon. What is coming up on the Patreon this week? I saw an episode drop today as we're recording.
2 of them, actually. But actually, Rob, you'll be maybe shocked, maybe not shocked. I have the next 4 months of the Patreons kind of outlined out. Would you like to let me know? Would you like me to tell you what's going to be happening the next few months on the Patreon?
Nothing would make me happier, Matt.
Well, I don't know about that. You did get an awesome Christmas present from me today. I'm not sure if that made you happier. We'll get into that in a moment. But before I go into what's coming on the next few months, let's talk about what's going on in December. Merry Mayu Christmas. What an absolute smash hit this is. It seems like every other day we have a new Patreon member, so which is absolutely fantastic. But yes, there are not 1 but 2 episodes that dropped today. We did the 2016 Cinderella win from Mayu Iwatani. That dropped in back-to-back Mayu and Saki Kashima's Goddess of Stardom reign. Those dropped back-to-back as of this morning. This past Monday, we watched the first of the trilogy of matches between Mayu and Io Shirai. And that was from Stardom Gold 2016. And probably about the 7th or 8th time I watched this match. And there was 3 new things that I picked up on this match I'd never seen before. Number 1, Io Shirai on the back of her mask has a Batman symbol. And I literally joked about it as she came to the ring, just thinking it wasn't the Batman symbol. But as she kind of turned around, I'm like, that's the Batman symbol. And as soon as the match was over, I texted you right away. And you literally had the perfect text. And you said, Matt, as if you couldn't love Io enough. I said, I know. I thought, like, hey, this match happened 6 years ago, and I'm loving her even more. The second thing is just the amount of selling that Io does in this match to get Mayu, who, as great as Mayu was in 2016, she wasn't quite there yet. But, like, just the way she puts her friend over and her fellow Thunder Rock partner over is amazing. And there's another spot that's actually the crowd psychology is just genius here, because Mayu does the dragon suplex on the apron. You've seen this match, you know what we're talking about. So she hits the dragon suplex, and then when Io takes the tumble to the to the floor, she lands like head and neck first, and the crowd goes silent. And then Io and Mayu do such a great job of bringing the crowd back after that dangerous spot. That's absolutely unbelievable. When we did, it was, I believe, the very first Patreon episode was the Io V14. I think I rated that match 4 3/4 stars, and I even said at the end, I said I never really change my ratings. Once it's in, it's in. But I had to bump this one up to 5 stars. So yeah, and that was the first one. Monday coming up, actually probably right after we record this episode, I'm going to watch the second of the trilogy, my favorite Stardom match of all time. It ranks as a lot of people's favorite Stardom match of all time. Io defending the World of Stardom Championship, obviously against Mayu Iwatani, from Stardom Year-End Climax 2016. I'm also doing the homework for the end of the year episode for the White Belt and Red Belt tier Patreon, which is the Thunder Rock. So needless to say, Rob, as I'm sure you're figuring out, as our wonderful friends and family of the Patreon and podcast are figuring out, I'm watching a lot of Io versus Mayu and Io and Mayu as a tag team. Buddy, it's hard work, but somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do it. And obviously, me and you, we're going to be doing 2 episodes. We're going to be doing the Mayu Iwatani career retrospective, and that is for the $1, $3, and $5 tier members. And then we're also going to be doing the watch along of Mayu defending the World of Stardom Championship against Shuri. And yeah, we're going to be doing that together. And that really just kind of came off the back with, I bet, a lot of people sending me messages and on Patreon saying they would love to have me and you do a watch along. So those will be in your feed sometime by the end of the month. And then actually this weekend, I'll be traveling over about 5 miles to Sean's house, as we will be doing the watch along of Mayu Iwatani and Kairi from a historic crossover. So even though there's been a lot that has come out, there's still a lot more. Speaking of a lot more, let me tell you what's going to be happening the next 4 months on the Patreon. So I will get into January in just a second. So here's basically what I'm going to do. Here's the quick outline. February is going to be rivalry month. So what I'm going to do is I will put sometime at the end of January, I will put 4 rivalries from Stardom on the poll on my Twitter. And obviously, as how we usually do it, the top 2 poll getters is going to be what we're going to be reviewing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch every singles match from these rivals, and then we'll review it. And then as far as the red tier, I might just do one of each of the choices. So the choices are probably going to be, again, card subject to change: Io versus Kairi, Mayu versus Momo Watanabe, not Kogo, or Momo Kogo, Shiri versus Utami, and then I think I'm going to do Izumi versus Starlight Kid. So that's what's going to happen more than likely in February. In March, Rob, I'm not sure if you're aware, over here in the States, in March, college basketball goes crazy. We have something called March Madness. So what I'm going to do is March Momo Madness. Again, Momo Watanabe, not Momo Kogo. I just want to reiterate. So we're going to do a Momo Watanabe theme in March. And then in April, we're going to do Insane April Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. Obviously, me and you did Insane April earlier, 8 months ago this year. And there's been a lot going on with Kairi over the last 8 months. So I figured let's revisit it and add some stuff. So that's what's going to be going on in February, March, April. You might be saying, well, Matt, what about January? So here's what we're going to be doing in January. It's going to be a Patreon Listeners Appreciation Month. What I'm going to be doing for the weekly watch along is, and listen closely, everyone, this is going to be the early bird gets the worm. So if you're listening to this, as soon as this drops at midnight, Eastern Standard Time, you're going to be the first ones to get on this. The first 4 people that send me what match they want me to do the watch along in January, that's what we're going to do. Any match you want, any match that you want me to do the watch along, that's what I'm going to do. There's 3 catches. Number 1, it has to be available either on YouTube or Stardom World. Number 2, it has to be a match that I haven't done yet. And number 3, it has to be a match that has Stardom wrestlers in it. For example, if you want me to go and do the match from the Tokyo Dome from earlier this year with the MK Sisters versus Tam and Saya, absolutely we can do it. Even though it's a New Japan show, it has Stardom wrestlers. If you want me to go back to 1991 to do the Jailhouse match with the Mountie versus the Big Boss Man, sorry, not going to do it. Maybe at a later date or a later time. So that's what we're going to do. So, yeah, by all means, if you're listening to this as soon as it drops, obviously, if you're driving, please don't text me and while you're driving, please don't do that. The first 4 matches that I get, that's what we're doing. Now, as far as the bi-weekly podcast, it's basically, again, it's listener's choice. Start sending me some recommendations of what you want. If you want me to do a show review, if you want me to do Stardom X, the Stardom 5th anniversary show, the Stardom 7th anniversary show, Stardom X, Stardom 2017-18, Starlight Kid high speed run. Start sending me some suggestions, and what I'll do is I'll filter that down into the top 4, and then I'll put that on the poll. So, folks, that's what we got going on from pretty much until the end of Merry Mayu Christmas until all the way of Insane April. So I'm going to be a busy boy, but I absolutely love doing it. And I can't do this without the phenomenal support I get on a daily basis from the friends and family of the Stardom cast. And obviously you too, there, one Mr. Rob Goodwin.
Oh, you're more than welcome, Matt. I mean, I quite literally do nothing for the page. Apart from the artwork, I don't do anything
Which
for
I
the page.
love.
Oh, thank you very much. The Kagetsu one is possibly my favorite. So, but yeah, I mean, it's all you. The energy and just determination, everything that you have to get everything out to our listeners is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm sure they're all going to appreciate everything that's coming up during the remainder of A Merry Mayu Christmas. I just want to shout out our latest patron, Nick Holden. Thank you so much for subscribing to our Red Belt tier. Don't forget, guys, you can subscribe for loads and loads of bonus content over at patreon.com/The Stardom Cast. And don't forget to get your suggestions in to Matt. Obviously, it's Christmas, so it'd be nice to do some nice matches, but of course, I'm sure if you gave him some rubbish Stardom matches as well, maybe a Fukigen Death retrospective, something like that, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to do that as well, Matt. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that, and I know it. I'm going to say it, and I know it's going to happen, and I know literally Friday morning I'm going to text you. I know I'm going to get the beauty salon zest hair match. I know that somebody, as a rib, is going to put that on there. Like, if that's what you want, folks, that's what I'll do. I am here for you. Like I always say at the end of the show, it's not just my podcast, it's our podcast, because we might be doing a watch along to a match, some shampoo. So
Let's kick into some news. If only there had been some sort of big news over the last week. In typical Stardom Cast fashion, we finished up recording last week's episode, and literally as we pressed done on the call and I turned on Twitter, obviously the entire Twitterverse was full of news that Sasha Banks will be appearing at New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom on the 4th of January. The verbiage around this entire story has been different from different outlets, because some have said that she's going to appear. Some said that she will just be there. A lot of people believe she'll challenge Kairi after her TAM match, if Kairi is to win. And then some have said that it's a power play to get more money from the big dub. However, it's also believed that she's scheduled to be Saraya's surprise partner on AEW in a few weeks' time as well. Whatever the situation in terms of Sasha Banks and Wrestle Kingdom 17, the Western audience and the eyes that she will bring to Stardom, if she is involved with Stardom in any sort of way, cannot be understated, can it, Matt?
No, not at all. Not at all. And I think, there's been a lot of, I'll believe it when I see it kind of things. We kind of had a little fake thing, not fake thing, but pump out thing when we were so close to getting Io Shirai back into Stardom. It was so close, and I was so super excited about it, and then it didn't happen. So I have a lot of people that have told me, don't get your hopes up until you see her in the ring with either Kairi or Tam or whoever. And I said, you know what? It's Christmas time. I'm a big kid. I'm getting my hopes up. I already have 18 matches in my head booked that I want to see. But I think just Sasha's kind of very old school, and she appreciates the Japanese culture. From what I understand, per the Wrestling Observer, that she hasn't signed anything, but she has verbally agreed to some dates. And I think just because it's almost like an old school, Vince McMahon Sr. type thing, where it's like a handshake deal. And I think the reason why she didn't want to put pen to paper is maybe she'll do 2 matches, maybe she'll do 3 matches, maybe she'll do 10. It all depends on if she can keep up with the traveling, because that's a long travel from the States to Japan, excuse me. So maybe that's what's on her mind. But I know she has a certain price that's been rumored to be more than what Chris Jericho is getting for Wrestle Kingdom. But at the same time, you're going to be getting, or not Wrestle Kingdom, for not only just Wrestle Kingdom, excuse me, but Chris Jericho's dates that he did in New Japan back in, I think it was 17 and 18. But you're going to be getting a massive star who absolutely can work the Japanese style, that has said multiple times that her dream opponent is Mayu. Obviously, the big rumor is she's going to be challenging Kairi. I think that's what's going to happen at the end of the match, but I don't think she's going to challenge Kairi right away. I think they're going to build towards that. I think her first match is probably going to be against Tam. I think they're going to have a barn burner of a match. As much as I love Tam, not many people in this world are bigger Tam Nakano fans than I am. Obviously, Kairi is probably going to go over in that match. And then I see Sasha Banks, coming out either in the front row or coming down the ramp on the Tokyo Dome, and basically saying eventually she wants to get to Kairi, but I think she's going to challenge Tam. And I think that'd be a really good way for her introduction into Stardom. And it's going to bring a lot of new eyes in, over, because a lot of people are wondering when Sasha's coming back. It's like, well, she's going to be coming back to wrestling, but it might not be to the program you see on Mondays and Fridays. It's going to be onto the New Japan / Stardom platform. So needless to say, I am getting my hopes up. I'm super excited, and I think it's going to happen. And I think we're going to see Sasha versus Tam, obviously Sasha versus Kairi, and obviously the big dream match, Rob, is Sasha and Mayu.
I would be amazed if this deal gets done. I would be amazed if we don't see a Sasha Banks versus Mayu Iwatani special singles match, because this is the perfect opportunity for Sasha. You're absolutely right. She's multiple times come out and said she wants to wrestle in Japan, and she has quoted Mayu as the dream opponent. My only sort of reservation is, at the moment, it's Sasha doing a deal with New Japan. Stardom hasn't been mentioned. Now, whether that means that all of Sasha's matches are going to be solely for the IWGP Championship, Women's Championship, obviously. There is, of course, a second Wrestle Kingdom date on the 21st of January in Yokohama. So that could be a potential date where we see Sasha go up against, presumably Kairi. In terms of the WWE, Dave Meltzer has come out and said that they are very far apart in terms of money when she's trying to negotiate a return to the company. I don't know whether we'll see Sasha back in WWE, and with the greatest of respect, I don't really care because I don't watch much WWE anyway. But if we are to see a Jericho-style run in Stardom from Sasha, so 4 matches. She has 1 match for the IWGP Women's Championship. Say we get another big March pay-per-view. We had Budokan in 2021. We had World Climax in 2022. Say we have that big show, maybe at Budokan or maybe at Sumo Hall again in March. Sasha Banks versus Mayu Iwatani would be an absolutely fantastic main event to one of the nights, or a fantastic semi-main if we only do one night, depending on where we run and what we're running it for. I don't think we'll see many matches from Sasha if we do. If she does turn up, I do think she'll come out. I think there's very little point in advertising the fact that Sasha's going to be there without the crowd seeing her. I know there's some people that have said that she's just going to be like backstage and stuff like that. I don't really see the point in leaking the news, because they've 100% leaked this to build a little bit of hype around it, and rightly so. But I don't really see the point in leaking it if Sasha is not going to make an appearance. So I do see it. I don't think she's going to have a match with Tam, which I would love to see that. I think it would be a great match. I do think she'll just outright challenge Kairi, which again, I'm absolutely fine with. One thing we do need to mention as well is that Wrestle Kingdom has pretty much been cleared as a cheering crowd. So that's going to be fantastic, especially if Sasha does make an appearance. That's going to be a fantastic reception. The running order for Wrestle Kingdom 17 has been announced as well as the full card as well, with the IWGP Women's Championship running second behind the junior tag match, which I'm a little bit surprised about. I thought it would have been a smidgen higher than that, but ultimately, you've hyped the crowd up with Catch-22 versus Leah Rush and Yo, I believe the match is. And then to have Kairi versus Tam, which is going to be, they're going to give it 15 minutes. It's going to be great. And then to have Sasha Banks come down afterwards, it's a slam dunk. It's a slam dunk. You're going to get a load of hype on the internet. People are going to tune in droves. And hopefully, if there is some deal done for a limited run in Stardom or with certain Stardom wrestlers, it's going to do a lot of good for Stardom. Let's be perfectly honest. I mean, pick out 4 names. Julia, Mayu Iwatani, Utami, and Tam, and then Kairi for the IWGP Women's Belt. If those are the 5 matches she has, or that she's scheduled to have, or the dream matches, that's a run and a half, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you have like Azumi, Saya Kamatani, Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid. There's a lot of, like, when this news came out, I'm literally just going through the roster, like, not for nothing. Like, there's a like, I know it's probably match 18 out of my dream match, but how awesome would Sasha Banks versus Hana be? Like, I'm not even joking, because we love her theme music. Like, seriously, that was like, I'm going down the roster. I'm like, all right, we're probably not going to get a full-time run. And I'm like, gee, like, if you can only pick 4 or 5 matches, which one other, I think everybody's going to agree on the Mayu match, but like, what are the other 4? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, holy gee. I mean, it's all just can't miss. But yeah, I understand. I was chatting with somebody on Twitter the other day saying, well, it's a New Japan deal, not a Stardom deal. And I'm like, I understand that. But at the same time, who is she going to be wrestling in New Japan? As much as I would love to see Sasha, Sasha versus Minoru Suzuki, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, crazy stuff has been happening over the last few years in wrestling. For Christ's sakes, Rob, we might be coming out with our own beer in the next year. Another story for another day. But Sasha Banks versus Minoru Suzuki, okay, sign me up. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think maybe they use her as like on a Dominion show where if she's not the champion, it's Kairi versus Mayu, let's just say, is the co-main event of that show, and then like second or third, it's like Sasha versus Utami. We're just going to put that match, even though it's a Stardom wrestler versus, kind of this big, huge star coming over from the States. But at the same time, it's on a New Japan show. At the same time, it's like Utami's a Stardom wrestler. That's who she's going to. Stardom obviously has the deal with Bushiroad in New Japan. So she's, like I said, not unless she's going to be wrestling Minoru Suzuki or Okada or Tanahashi, she's going to be wrestling Stardom wrestlers, whether it's on a New Japan show or a Stardom show. Regardless, this is only 52 thumbs up for us Stardom fans over there, and we will be covering all the material and action.
Yeah, I will just qualify. I meant that she will be only wrestling on New Japan events, is what I meant. When I said that the deal was with New Japan, I obviously don't expect, her to turn up and join House of Torture, which...
Please, God, no.
Can you imagine? Just her and Evil running through the mid-card. But I would be very, very surprised if we see, for example, Sasha Banks turning up at Shinkiba First Ring and doing an undercard tag match with Saki Kashima and Fukigen Death, for example. But I do think
what's wrong with Saki Kashima and Fukigen Death, Rob?
Sasha Banks versus Saki Kashima, I would be more than into. And we do need to talk about, like, Sasha Banks' selling is outstanding. Can you imagine? I mentioned 5 wrestlers just off the top of my head there. We both think that Syuri is going to be dropping that red belt by the end of this year. Syuri versus Sasha Banks would be an incredible match. I mean, can you imagine Sasha selling the lariats of people like Mirai, Himika, Maika? Jesus wept. I mean, obviously, all of this, every single thing apart from, the rumours that have been reported widespread across the internet, including by Dave Meltzer, everything we're saying is speculation. She might not turn up. She might well have just been given a really nice seat and she's going to turn up in the crowd like an NXT takeover. But if she does turn up, she does wrestle on some New Japan shows, let us know who you would like her to see wrestle, because obviously it's going to be Stardom wrestlers, definitely. Unless, of course, you're all eager to see her and Mandy Rose join up, like I say, with the House of Torture. We would.
Mandy Rose's name out there too.
Do you know what?
It's on fire today, folks.
I feel so sorry for Mandy Rose, but that's a completely different conversation. Yeah, so we'd love to hear who you would like to see Sasha Banks wrestling in Stardom, because I imagine like I say, I mentioned 5. There are interchangeable names, and you could mention upwards of 10 wrestlers that Sasha Banks could wrestle and have barn burner matches with. It's a very, very, very exciting time. And just going back to what you said, Matt, about you getting excited about Io Shirai. Not a day goes by when you're not excited by the prospect of Io Shirai, but I think in terms of had the regime not changed in WWE in the way it did, I do honestly believe that Io would have been back in Japan.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who kind of works in the inner workings of WWE, saying that her contract was up and she was still kind of just hanging out there in Florida, and her and Dakota Kai were having like Zoom meetings with the brass over at Bushiroad. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I'm like, oh, this was after like a month after she already came back. I'm like, stop! Like my heart's already on the ground. Stop stomping on it, stomping on it. But yeah, I think we were like a week or 2 weeks away if the regime didn't change, that Io Shirai would have been back in Stardom. But I know it's another story for another day. But supposedly the old man wants to come back, so we might see Io Shirai back in the Stardom ring in 6 months.
I will eat my hat live on this podcast if Vince McMahon comes
there
back.
It is, folks. There it is, folks. And he's going to wash it down with a Trooper beer.
And hey, I mean, like, New Japan have seen Carl Anderson. Carl Anderson is going to be in a prevalent spot on Wrestle Kingdom, defending that never openweight championship against Tama Tonga. It's a little bit of an open door between WWE and New Japan. Who knows? Maybe Io Shirai will come in for a one-stop. We can watch it whilst supping on a lovely cold glass of the Stardom craft. Let's go through these 2 shows that we're going to look at then, as Stardom started their last tour of the year-end tour 2021. Night 1 was on Saturday, the 10th of December, from Edion Arena, Osaka 2, in front of 468 people. We opened with a singles match, Tomoka Inaba defeating Lady C with the delightfully convolutedly named one shot, one kill Tomoka kick in a shade under 9 minutes. Aside from being a ridiculously named finisher, there was a lovely bit of technical mat grappling from the great Car C to open this match, Matt.
How dare you? You always work that in, man. You always work that in. Yeah. First of all, that finishing name from Tomoka Inaba just rolls right off the tongue. I want that on a t-shirt. It'd be the front and the back. But anywho, yeah, this was really good because you also have both these ladies are both really great technical wrestlers. I think Lady C, or as you call her, the great Car C, her technical wrestling ability, we really don't get to see it too much. But this was nice that they gave her a singles match in about 9 minutes with Tomoka Inaba. So there was some really good, chain wrestling and ground grappling kind of back and forth to start. And then you kind of have the size advantage and the strikes with these two. But I think Tomoka Inaba, however you want to pronounce her name, I think she's absolutely fantastic. I think that Rasi Ogawa, coming off this year, which is obviously a banner year for him, I think going into 2023, he needs to get Tomoka and Suzu Suzuki under full-time contracts, obviously with Prominence and Just Tap Out. I don't know what their contracts are, but that is a dream app for me for next year, because I would love to see Tomoka in next year's 5-star Grand Prix. Another story for another day, but I thought this was really, really good. I liked how the finish came where Lady C was going for her giant choke slam, and Tomoka was able to block it. And she hits like this left hook to the kidneys that just absolutely just like it's going to crumble somebody. And I love how she hits it and she pauses and she waits for the crowd to register. And then she hits like a mid kick or a spinal kick. And then eventually she builds up to the one shot, one kill penalty kick for the win. We saw that here and we saw it on night 2. But I thought this was fantastic. I thought both ladies were great. I'm becoming just a huge fan of Tomoka Inaba. I had this at 3.5 stars, and I'm going to have an early prediction that Tomoka is the one that wins the pre-show Battle Royal at Dream Queendom.
You've changed your tune. What happened to Waka for life, Matt?
I don't. Well, I it's not a cheering crowd.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Actually,
it's not a cheering crowd. You need that pop. So when they do the Tokyo Dome show, and she beats Sasha Banks in the summer, that's when it's going to be. There it is. I booked it.
There you go. Yeah, massive fan of Inaba. I think Lady C is coming on leaps and bounds, coming on as a real bruiser. Some of those strikes she's throwing and some of those big boots she's throwing, especially on night 2, were really, really, really stiff, look really, really good. Overall, I'm massively, massively into Inaba as a performer. I think you mentioned, obviously, her and Suzuki coming into Stardom. I would be extremely surprised if Suzu Suzuki is able to be tied down to a full-time contract. Inaba might be a better option. Not a better option than Suzuki, but it might be an easier option contract-wise, is what I mean. Obviously, at the moment, she's holding the Queen of JTO belt, so it's a little bit difficult, but I would be surprised if Inaba isn't under contract with Stardom by March. I'd be very, very surprised, because coming off the back of the Tag League as part of Karate Brave, she was certainly one of the better things to come out of Tag League. So, yeah, massively, massively impressed with her over the 2 nights. Match 2 was a tag team match with the Oedetai team of Saki Kashima and Momo Watanabe defeating the Cosmic Angels team of Natsupoi and Waka Tsukiyama, with Saki getting the pinfall over Paul Waka with the Mai emblem in 8 minutes and 57 seconds. A good couple of nights for Oedetai, Matt, who I believe went 0 for 3, or 3 for 0, should I say, in terms of victories.
Yeah, this match was kind of weird because it's like Poi and Waka are not like a normal team, and neither is Saki and Momo. Like, you could have mixed this up any other way. So it's kind of like when the graphic came up, I was like, all right, fine, whatever. And this match like really over-delivered. And yeah, this was a really, really good weekend for Oedetai, getting obviously a whole bunch of wins here and then getting the win on the main event of the next show, which we'll talk about. But as much I was kind of like, this match will be okay. This match to me really, really over-delivered. Obviously, poor Waka just eating kicks from Momo. And then Waki and Saka, who were really good at like those flash pins at the end. They did a really good job trading them back and forth. So you kind of figured it was going to end with Saki getting the Kishikasai, the most dangerous move in all of professional wrestling, on Waka, but she decided, I'm going to I'm going to take a night off from the most dangerous move in pro wrestling, and I'll just hit the my emblem on this Waka kid. But yeah, this match really over delivered. I really enjoyed it, and I had this one at 3.5 stars.
I had it at 3.25. I completely agree with you. In fact, I know that obviously these two shows are effectively road two shows as we near Dream Queendom 2, but they're actually, both nights are short, sharp, and full of like real hidden gems. There's a couple on the next night as well where I thought, Jesus, there are some really, really good matches worth checking out if you've got some time. This is one of them. It's always fun to watch Momo Watanabe break up a bridging pin with a sharp kick to the back as well. But I loved Momo and Natsupoi's exchanges. You know, both of them are fantastic wrestlers, and it's always funny to watch Natsupoi just ragdoll sell absolutely everyone's offense because she's so damn good at it. Overall, a really, really, really fun little match. We move on to another tag team match. And by the way, Oedetai went 4-0 if you count Starlight Kid's singles victory on this night as well. The Oedetai team of Natsukatora and Ruaka defeated the Stars team of Koguma and Momokogo, with Ruaka getting the pin with the Ruaka bomb over Momokogo in 9 minutes and 20 seconds, obviously heating her up ahead of her Future of Stardom championship match against Amisori at New Blood 6. She slips off the ropes whilst hitting the Ruaka bomb, which is unfortunate. However, this was followed by one of perhaps my most favourite Stardom moments of this year, was her then shushing the crowd afterwards in an apparent act of defiance, despite it being a clap crowd who aren't allowed to make any noise. And I don't know why, Matt, but that proper tickled me, and it tickled me for the rest of the show.
Well, who's the only true heel group in all of Stardom? So if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be her.
That's true. That's true. Tora rightly smacks her around the head afterwards as well for messing up the move, which is a touch I properly like. And the fact that all of Oedetai were laughing at it. I like that they went all in on it.
Yeah, I thought this match was it was good, not great. Just didn't seem like it got to the second gear. I thought Kaguma was doing a lot of her comedy stuff. I thought Momokogo, sometimes she goes like a little bit too fast. Like she doesn't let things register at some times. I think they were kind of just going through the paces. This one just didn't seem. Oh, don't get me wrong. All four of these ladies worked. They worked very, very hard. And like I said, Veruaka's really doing a great job of improving. Really liking the stuff that she's doing with Tora, and I'm glad that they're a tag team. Coming off, which I thought was a very excellent tag league. Obviously, they're tagging here, and the big show at the end of the month, Dream Queendom, they're in a number one contenders match. So I'm glad they're keeping the two of them together. But to me, this one just didn't really click. It seemed like timing was off. It seemed like positioning was off. It just didn't seem like it gelled. So I gave this one the gentleman's 3 stars.
Completely agree. I'm interested that you've brought up Momokogo there because something similar happened on night 2 as well, where she seemed to. I remember, I think it was Armani Shoe Exchange, who said that sometimes in Mayu's early career, she would write checks. Her mind would write checks that her body couldn't cash effectively. So she'd come up with these spots, and then because they were a little bit too advanced, or because she was going too quickly, or because she was just too optimistic, she'd mess them up. And that seems to be ringing true of Momokogo, who is getting the basics down really well. I think her fundamentals of wrestling are improving all the time. I mentioned last week that she was doing really, really well as like this endearing babyface. But there's a couple of times, and it seems to be when she's going for the tiger feint kick, maybe just stop doing it, where she'll slip on the ropes or she'll be going too quickly, and it does seem to creep into her matches. Overall, I gave this 3 stars. It was fine. It was a good match. All 4 women would have better matches on night 2. But yeah, overall, I think this served primarily to try and heat Ruaka up ahead of her match with Amisori at New Blood, which I think she is inevitably losing. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole. I think Ayami's going to have a pretty good run with it. I don't think she's going to have as good as long as a run as Hanan did. That run was just fantastic. But going back on Momokogo, sometimes less is more. Sometimes if you're worried about the next spot, you're not reacting into certain things. And I think that's kind of what we've been seeing a little bit from her here. And I love Momokogo. I think she's fantastic. I think she's enduring. I think the crowd does a really good job getting behind her. But sometimes just less is more. Don't do 5 things, do 2. Don't do 5 things half-ass. Do two or three things really, really good. And maybe that's what we'll see from her. Obviously, she's going to she'll keep improving, so I'm not worried there.
Oh no, me neither. It's actually it's quite nice to see that she is trying more complicated things. That sort of bodes well for the future. But obviously, at the moment, just wait until you've got the basics down, then go for it. And I do like the fact that she's improving. And like you said, I am a big fan of Momo Kogo, and I'm going to put this out there. I see Momo Kogo as the person to dethrone Amisori for the future belt. So,
ooh,
there
good
you
one,
go.
buddy.
15th of December. And that's when we're recording. So that's where you can time that prediction down to. And then when Momokogo inevitably gets nowhere near the belt because I've predicted it, you can all laugh at me. Match 4 then, singles match. Starlight Kid defeated Tekla with the O'Connor Bridge in 7 minutes and 8 seconds. There's really good chemistry between these two, though I thought that you could tell that they were holding something back, Matt, maybe for a match further on down the line. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's only got 7 minutes, but it was 7 minutes of don't blink, because these two literally, it was almost like, I know it's not a high-speed championship match or a number one contenders match, but it was like the bell rang and they went right to high speed. And I liked how Starlight Kid used the standing moonsault like 2 minutes into the match to kind of get the first advantage. And then she was trying to go after Tekla's knee to try to put in the leg crusher submission. Yeah, there was some really good stuff. It kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit, and then it kind of just finished with the O'Connor roll into the Bob Backlund bridge, as I call it. But I liked how she got there. Like Tekla went for it. It's like she went to go do the bridge, and Starlight Kid pushed her off, and then she did the O'Connor roll into the Backlund bridge. So it was kind of like, yeah, you're going to use that on me, but I'm a little bit better at it because I was able to not only get the move, but get the 3 count. So I like the psychology there, and I like the fact that it was kind of like this match can end at any time. So yeah, if this match got 2 or 3 minutes longer, I think it would have been much better. By all means, I thought it was excellent. I thought these two, yeah, exactly. They worked well together. They had really good chemistry, and I actually had this one at 3.5 stars. And then even though Tekla got pinned right after the bell rang, she went and started attacking Starlight Kid post match. So yeah, like you said, they left some stuff on the table and even did a little bit of post match angle to build something coming up down the future.
I think as well, like it's really nice to see Tekla back in singles action. And it reminds me how we were robbed of seeing her in the 5-star, because I do think she'd have had a great 5-star. But overall, I thought that this match, again, they laid the groundwork for what would have been an excellent match had it gone, 9 or even 10 minutes. Because there's only really the main event that goes any sort of distance, so they would have had the time to do it. But what I do like is how Kid beats Tekla with her own move, and that incenses Tekla into attacking her after the bell. And it's building a little bit of a story, and then obviously they'd face off in the main event as part of that 10-woman tag. And I do like the fact that Tekla's channeling her inner Julia by going after Kid's mask during the match. So overall, really good match, one that I would check out over these 2 nights. Again, my last note, just wish they'd have been given longer. Match 5 then, another singles match, Tam Nakano defeating Mai Sakurai with the Northern Cross in 12 minutes and 14 seconds. Now, I'm sure someone is going to point out that this is absolute nonsense and I'm talking out of my arse, but I'm sure Mai Sakurai is wrestling this match in the last incarnation of a Cosmic Angels gear, which, if she is a fantastic subtle touch to this match.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, Rob, what did you give your rating on the Tekla Starlight Kid match?
Oh, I'm sorry, 3.5. I thought I'd said 3.5.
We're done. But no, you're not talking out your ass, or as you say, your arse. It looked like she was. Yeah, it was like, you know what? I'm gonna put this on one last time, and then after I'm done with this match, I'm gonna burn it. I thought it was really cool because we've all, usually Stardom on these quote unquote Road 2 shows, they give us a whole bunch of tag matches. We got a couple singles matches here, and this one kind of piqued my interest because it was almost like the revenge of Tam Nakano on Mai Sakurai for leaving to go to Julia, Tam's biggest rival in DDM, leaving Tam and Cosmic Angels. So I was kind of really amped up for this one, and this one to me it didn't get into that third gear. I thought that they worked well together. They gave him a good amount of time, went over 12 minutes. We saw Tam winning with the submission, so now we have something more into Tam's, into her arsenal. Obviously, she's got the Tiger Suplex, she's got Twilight Dream, she's got the Violent Screwdriver, and now we've seen her with this Northern Cross, this basically leg choke submission, which I thought was really, really cool. I thought they worked well together, but just seemed like towards the middle got a little bit of choppy, and it kind of just didn't get back on track into the finish. I just don't know what it was. It seemed like they were gelling well up until maybe about the 7 or 8 minute mark, and they didn't get back on track until about minute 11. So to me, just again, they worked well. It wasn't a fantastic match. It was good, just maybe touching great. I had it 3.25 stars, but I think what really killed it for me, Rob, I know it's a clap crowd, so you can't make a lot. Well, I guess you can make noise because you're clapping, but like the crowd really, I mean, Tam really had to get the crowd. Even I think Natsupoi was outside there, and I think maybe Julie as well, or some members of DDM. They really had to work the crowd to get them into this, because the crowd, especially towards the end, they just didn't seem like they were into this match at all, and it kind of made it for like a cold match.
I'll be honest, I thought they were like that for the entire night. The main event, Julia and Mirai had to really work to get the crowd into this match. And this is, effectively your two big factions going against it ahead of Julia and Syuri at Sumo Hall. And it was very much a case of, right, come on, let's get clapping. Come on, guys, let's get into this match. And you're absolutely right, but I did feel that was a theme throughout the entire night. I thought, obviously the story is very simple. They're trying to sort of build the fact that May has improved as a performer since she's left Cosmic Angels. And, the fact it takes 2 Violet shootings and this new submission to finish her off. It does do justice to that story. I do agree with you. It did feel a little bit disjointed. I think they were trying to do a very emotional match with a very heatless crowd, which didn't help. You got the spot in the middle where they were, literally sitting and kicking each other in the head, and that should be a moment of great emotion and great passion, and the crowd just weren't into it at all, which of course didn't help. Post-match, May refuses the handshake, slaps Tam instead. Obviously she's seeking to surpass Tam, not gain her respect. She says she's glad she left Cosmic Angels for Donna Del Mondo, which is an interesting path to go down when you've just lost. But Tam says not to say that until she's beaten her. And then May goes on to thank DDM and on her growth and promote the main event. I do think this is a program that once we get cheering crowds back and once May has continued to improve, we've both said on this podcast just how much May has improved, because I was not a big May Sakurai fan at all when she first debuted, and I'm still not a big fan of her elbow drop, but that's a different thing. But
I have a note. God, once you're done, I have a note here about that.
But I do think she's improved massively. I don't think she's on the level of Tam, and I don't think anyone thinks she's on the level of Tam at the moment. However, that moment when she does beat Tam, because it'll come, that's her story. It'll come. She'll beat Tam, whether it's in a tag match with a roll-up or whether it's in a big, high-passion singles match for a belt. It'll happen, and it'll be a nice arc to finish that off, but I don't think May's there yet. I gave it 3.25, Matt. What about you?
I had a 3.25, and I have a note here in the middle. Do you think the crowd was dead because May Sakurai missed the elbow drop, and the crowd so wanted to see it? And they're like, "We don't care what happens. Set each other on fire. We don't care. We paid our money to see one move, and we didn't get it."
All 468 people in Osaka are May Sakurai elbow drop fans. Who'd have guessed it? Match 6 then, our semi-main of night 1 was a 6-woman tag team match. The Queen's Quest team of Utami Hayashishita, Saya Kamatani, and Azumi defeating the Stars team of Maya Iwatani, Hazuki, and Saya Ida, with Azumi pinning Saya with the diving double foot stomp in 13 minutes and 51 seconds. Matt, something tells me, and it might just be the participants involved in this match, that you will have liked this match quite a lot.
I'm a big fan of any iteration of Queen's Quest. Doesn't matter, from the EO run to the Momo, but when I think literally as they made their entrance, I text you and I said, man, Queen's Quest, when they come out, when it's Azumi, Saya Kamatani, and Utami, they feel like they're just the coolest. They feel like the NWO back in 96 when it was Hogan, Hall, and Nash, or the Horsemen in the 80s, or like, DX when it was, Michaels and Triple H. They just seem like the coolest people. They have the robes. 2 of them have championships. Utami's got the rose, the flower, and they just seem like not only the coolest, but they're gonna kick your ass. And then on the other side, you have Saida, who kicks ass, Hazuki, who kicks ass, and Mayu, who's one of the greatest ever. There's no match could miss, and it didn't. This was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, we knew who. You look at the card, you look at this, and like, all right, we know what's going to happen in the finish. We know poor Saida is going to eat the fall, but man, they did a good job heating her up. And they made her look really, really good. I was a big fan of the Aphrodite had to really come together as a team towards the end to kind of get one over on Hazuki and Mayu to kind of eliminate them. And then the finish was they hit them. It was a good job building Saeed up because it took 2 back-to-back big moves. It took the Magic Killer from Aphrodite and then the huge, gorgeous double foot stomp from Izumi. But yeah, this was fantastic. I'm a huge fan of all 6 ladies. And I'm going to make an early prediction that the first winners of Triangle Derby will be the Queen's Quest team of Saya Kamatani, Azumi, and Utami Hayashishita. What a better way to end that first tournament than having the coolest faction, the coolest 3 members of that faction win the tournament. But yeah, this was all sorts of awesome. 3 3/4 stars for me. Wish it was longer. I wish I went 13:51. I wish this one went 51:51.
Went proper all Japan in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
I completely agree with you. It was a great match. I love the fact that they were able to weave in little bits of comedy. You know, Mayu Iwatani kicking Izumi that hard that she had to tag out to Hazuki because she'd injured her foot. But then you had some absolutely fantastic exchanges. Hazuki and Saya Kamatani showing us exactly why that was the big white belt match that we are waiting for. Mayu and Utami reminding us that match was fantastic for the red belt way back when. And of course, there's a little bit of history. Hazuki having been a member of Queen's Quest back in there. We had Sayarida and Saya Kamatani, though they didn't really interact, I don't think, at all, really. Obviously, they were on a similar level when they first debuted and were sort of fighting for the Future of Stardom Championship. It was a really, really, really good match. And that diving double foot stomp from Izumi, it really doesn't tell the story because there are some who hit the move and they don't brace the knees, and you can see that they're sort of protecting their opponent. Izumi does not do that at all. She goes in for the kill, and the way she hits Sayarida, you can fully believe that that's like a rib broken or a broken wrist from Saya. Like, it was a horrible, horrible move to take, but it looked really cool. I gave it 3 3/4 stars. I am going to counter your prediction for the Triangle Derby. I'd be amazed. I would be amazed if they put Utami, Saya, and Izumi together as a team, because that leaves as the other Queen's Quest team Hina, Lady C, and Miyu Amasaki. And I don't see that being the case. I think it will probably be Izumi, Miyu, and Hina, Utami, Saya, and Lady C. That's how I see it. Just because you sort of the problem that you run into there is who is the pin eater out of Utami, Saya, and Izumi. And obviously, you know, you don't want all 3 of the lower card of Queen's Quest in one team. I'd love to see it. And if they are a trio, hell yeah, they need to win it. But we'll wait and see. We should be getting some sort of update on that because that starts on the 3rd of January. So we should be nearing an announcement on the teams and everything. Maybe we'll get that on the 29th of December or the 24th. We'll probably get it at year-end climax, if I'm honest.
Thanks for breaking my heart, Rob. I'm always so excited to talk to you, and I love Queen's Quest, and they're the best. And I'm like, this is going to be the team. And I'm like, Matt, you're an idiot. You have no idea what you're talking about. Have you ever seen wrestling before? That hurt.
Call yourself a pro wrestler. Honestly.
How dare you?
How dare you?
Real quick, yeah. Damn right, we all are. But real quick, just to go back on the match. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, buddy, with the Saya versus Suzuki. I have that like circled and starred with the star of stars, Suzuki. Look at that. How about that? Didn't mean to do that. Terrible. But yeah, I think that's going to be the white belt match that I maybe at World Climax next year. Be that as it may, I'm excited to see it, and I think that that's shooting fish in a barrel. That's a home run with those two. But yeah, that's that. And I feel better about myself because I pulled myself up, folks, in the bootstraps because I had to talk about Hazuki and Saya Kamatani.
Yeah, absolutely. We move on then to our main event, which was a 6-woman tag team match, preview of what we're going to be getting at Dream Queendom 2, with Donna Del Mondo team of Julia, Micah, and Himika defeating the God's Eye team of Syuri, Mirai, and Amisori, with Julia hitting Amisori with the Glorious Driver in 21 minutes and 31 seconds. Something that I love about the partnership between Julia and Syuri is ordinarily when you've got a big title match and you've got the tag team matches that sort of run up to it, you try and hide that partnership to try and leave something for the night. Here, not a problem. Syuri and Julia are right in the middle of that ring to start this match because they can't wait for the competition. They see it as competition. They aren't scared of each other. They want to fight each other. And it's a refreshing dynamic to what we see ordinarily. You know, if we get, for example, the main event of Wrestle Kingdom, Jay White versus Okada, if they have a tag match at the Road to Tokyo Dome, for example, you know for a fact that they won't start the match together and will get maybe 30 seconds of those two wrestling before they tag out and inevitably Hiroki Goto takes the pin. But here, they not only open the match...
You're terrible.
I love Goto, by the way. He's one of my favorites in New Japan, but bless him. And he has just won Tag League as well, so go Bishamon. Anyway, they had the opening, but then had an extended stretch right in the middle as well. So they aren't scared of giving these ladies time to build this feud. And I love it. Like I say, I think it's a really, really, really refreshing dynamic, Matt.
Yeah, you know, it's funny when that co-main event that we just talked about finished, and I kind of forgot what the main event was, and I'm getting ready to go to the next match. And I'm like, well, what an idiot Stardom is. Like, what's going to be better than this? Like, what's the main event? Like, you know, not that I don't do a Stardom podcast or anything. I'm trying to forget what wrestlers are left. And I'm like, what's going to beat that? Hazuki and Saya Kamatani. I'm like, oh yeah, this is way better. What do I get? Yeah, you're right. What do I know? You're right, Rob. What do I know? But yeah, this match was all sorts of awesome, especially like, yeah, Julia. You figured they would kind of build to them, and Julia's like, nope, I'm starting. Sherry's like, no, I'm starting. And they give you just a little bit in the beginning where they do the grappling and they tag out, and I'm like, that's probably all that you're going to get. And then you kind of get all these tag outs. You have all this building. And then you get to the crux of the match. And then Shuri and Julia, they come in the ring and they give you way more than an appetizer. They give you basically just a little sample of what we're going to get on the 29th, which we all know is going to be awesome. There's no way it's not going to be at least a 4.5-star match with these two. So then they give you that. And then I'm a big fan of how Amisori is just like chopping Julia, getting towards the end as they're building towards the finish. It's like, here's the leader of your faction, just, you know, the number one contender who's more than likely going to win the most prestigious belt in the company. And she's just feeding chops to Amisori, and she's in danger. And what happens? Mike and Himika come in like henchmen, and they just lariat the crap out of Amisori that eventually just basically sets up towards the finish. I thought that was really cool how like Mike, and it basically puts Amisori over. And we've seen that with Julia with a lot of the lower card members of the Stardom roster. We saw it with Miyu Amasaki at the New Blood show. She's not afraid to give, as big as a star as Julia is and will become in the main eventer, she's not afraid to give people in the match that are mid-card or, you know, the lower tier card of that, and I mean that with all due respect to Amisori, it's just a loaded roster. She's not afraid to give these people a lot of shine. And here it is, she's getting chopped and the bejesus beat out of her. You figured, okay, maybe she'll make her comeback, but no, she has to have Mike and Himika come in and basically almost like save her, which again, that's just a testament of just how great Julie is. And she just makes wrestlers that are good, she makes them just so much better. So I thought that was great. And again, yeah, we got the little preview of, not only do we get the preview of Julia versus Shuri, we got a little preview too of the 3-way tag with Maihimi and the New Eras as well. We had some really good tag stuff with Mariah, Amisori, and Mike and Himika. But this match was all sorts of great. This absolutely, you know, a hidden gem, a match that you have not seen. Go out of your way to see it. You know, just a little over 20 minutes. I had this at 4 stars flat. Love this match. My favorite match from this show.
completely in agreement with you. 4 stars, definitely my favorite match of the show. Completely agree with you. Julia gave Ami Sourei a tremendous amount in this match before obviously finishing her off with a glorious driver. You talked about how the Julia and Sourei exchanges were great. Completely agree with you. But for me, the best exchange in this entire match was Mirai and Himeka literally attempting to level each other with lariats. Like, they held nothing back. Like, you could hear the sound of their respective collarbones as each one hit these thumping lariats. It was like cannon fire. It was great. And if we get anything like that at Dream Queendom, I am very, very, very excited. Post-match, Julia apologizes for making Sourei cry and then promises to end Sorei's Vermilion World. And obviously we'll do our predictions for Dream Queendom in our next podcast, which will be sort of our preview of Dream Queendom and year-end climax. But I think both of us do see Julia ending Sorei's Vermilion World, don't we, Matt?
Yeah, and what a line. And kind of just to hit the rewind button just a couple seconds, talking about Mirai and Himeka throwing, hitting each other with those lariats, which is odd to me because I just those two wrestlers really don't throw a lot of lariats. So I was shocked. I just popped myself. I was shocked that they lariat each other as much as they did. Yeah, you're absolutely right, buddy. That was awesome. And that little promo thing with Julie at the end, where I'm going to end your Vermilion World, which is, obviously the name of Shuri's nuclear finish and the move that she debuted at last year's Dream Queendom against Utami to win the red belt. So it's kind of coming full circle as we are just weeks away from the show on the 29th, and a really good go-home promo to end this show.
Absolutely. Overall, and I've said this earlier on the podcast, both these shows are short, snappy, and actually buckets of fun. There isn't really bad matches per se, and there's actually quite a few that you need to go out of your way and check out because they are really, really good, including on this next show, which I'll be talking about right now, night 2 of the year-end tour, which aired on Sunday the 11th of December from Act City, Hamamatsu and Shizuoka in front of 511 people. We opened with another Tomoka Inaba singles match, defeating Waka Tsukiyama with the incredibly named one-shot, one-kill Tomoka kick in 5 minutes and 38 seconds. Now, perhaps in this match, more than in any other I've seen in Inaba, she wrestles in a way that reminds me of Konami. Obviously not completely the same, obviously, but with her reliance on stiff kicks and submissions with this cold detachment. And at the moment, she doesn't seem to have that big impact finisher. And it reminds me, the way she wrestles, the way she locks in these submissions, and sort of that martial arts background, she really does remind me of Konami in this match, Matt.
Yeah, I never put those two together, but you're absolutely right. And the way that Konami and Inaba would set up their, basically their chain wrestling to set up their strikes and submissions. Yeah, I never put those two together, but well done, kind sir. Well done. But this was really, really good. And of course, poor Waka is there anybody more endearing at taking beatings and losses than poor Waka? This was perfect spot to open the show, like I said, in front of 500 people. And thanks to super friend of the podcast, Darren Chatton, for giving us the attendance figures. Always good when he always reaches out to give us the numbers there. But yeah, this was really good. 5 minutes 38 seconds, got it done. I had 3.25 stars. But like I said, my man, very good on the Konami Inaba references. Great job.
I'm always a fan of Waka's energy. And you mentioned Waka earlier, and it looks like she's trying to progressively bring more moves into her arsenal. She attempted a hammerlock DDT at one point, which I think she's used maybe twice. I don't think she's used it often. So if she's attempting to sort of expand her moveset, I am all for it. That strike to the side from Inaba sounded like a bloody whip crack. It was awesome. I rewound it. I was like, my God, the noise. But overall, this match was short, snappy, did what it needed to. I gave it 3 stars. Like I say, it went under 6 minutes. It did exactly what it needed to, Matt.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had 3.25 stars.
Sorry, match 2. Tag team match. The Queen's
Make it?
Just about. I was apparently that excited to talk about this next match.
Fire up.
Tag team match. Queen's Quest team of Utami Hayashishita and the Great Car C defeating Stars team of Koguma and Momo Kogo with the torture rack bomb in 9 minutes and 49 seconds. Now, there's a couple of things I want to mention about this match before I throw to you, Matt. The first thing is I genuinely thought that someone had accidentally fast-forwarded the match as Koguma is sprinting around the building, because she is going like the clappers. She proper has to slow down to allow Lady C to actually gain on her because she's going that fast. I've already mentioned Lady C's big boots, how they look really devastating nowadays. It gives me proper big Kevin Nash vibes, which is an odd thing to have. But, like, you know how Kevin Nash just proper stepped into the big boots? That's what Lady C is doing, and I think it's just because of the size. I don't know if that's why. But also, Momo Kogo gets hit with the big swing and doesn't tap, which immediately makes her more viable as a champion than Chris Jericho.
If anybody that works for Stardom listens to this podcast, please, I'm begging you, have Lady C's finisher in 2023 be the power bomb where she puts the cigar out on the person's back.
It's what we all want. It's what we all want.
I will literally, my head might combust. It's like, where's Matt? He's in the hospital. Lady C did the Kevin Nash power bomb. So, you know, as much as you're talking about Lady C does, I'm going to go completely 180 this. Get this show back on track, folks. Talk about Lady C stealing stuff from Kevin Nash and from great colleague. How about the fact that Lady C and Utami, they did the Holy Demon Army's finisher? Yes.
They really did.
Kawada and Taue, who actually just got in the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, my second favorite tag team of all time. Rock and Roll Express is number one, in case you're keeping track at home. Yes. So as much as I love Kevin Nash and the Great Khali, all due respect, these two harken back to probably the greatest Japanese tag team of all time, Choshiaki Kawada and Akira Taue. They did the Holy Demon Army finisher, and then Utami drills poor Momo Kogo with a giant clothesline and then hits the torture rack bomb for the 3 count. I liked how before she hit it with the clothesline, she tried to go for the torture rack bomb, and Momo Kogo popped out and hit a really awesome step-up Rana and hooked the legs that Utami did a phenomenal job of kicking out at 2.999. There was even like, for a split second, I thought, man, are they going to have Momo pin Utami? Utami did a really great job getting Momo over really just on that one spot. And we talked about Momo in the show before, how she was maybe just a little bit off. I thought she was really, really on her game here, especially towards the finishing stretch. And then eventually she eats the big clothesline. They build towards the finish. Really good psychology there. I had it 3.5 stars. And again, anytime you pull on anything from Kawada and Taue, always 2 thumbs up for me. And they've done this before. When they've had Lady C and Utami in matches before, they have done the Holy Demon Army finisher, which I completely forgot until they started loading it up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. They go to this as like one of their tag team go-home moves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought it was a great little nod to it as well, which was lovely. I was a big fan of Kogo's Tiger Fent DDT, but I'm a bigger fan of Utami catching it and hitting her with a modified air raid crash. Love that. I really enjoyed this match, to be fair. Again, very similar to the second match on the first night. It was far more fun than it had any right to be. But overall, good match. Gave it 3.25 stars. I thought, do you know what? They managed to meld the comedy with some heavy hitting Kevin Nash vibes. What more can I want? Match 3 then. Talking about hidden gems on this card. The tag team match. Queen's Quest team of Azumi and Saya Kamitani and Meltier Tam Nakano and Natsupoi, ending in a time limit draw at 15 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine what these 4 wrestlers can do in your heads. And that's pretty much what the match was, Matt.
Not only that, but to add to my entertainment, and you probably know where I'm going to go with this.
Yeah.
So I watched this match earlier today. I came home from the gym. My wife was on the couch, and she said, about 15, 20 minutes, I need to start baking because she needs to probably make about 1,000 Christmas cookies. And I'm probably not even exaggerating. She's probably going to make a couple hundred. I said, okay, no problem. I'm going to eat, shower, and I'm going to come down. I need to finish some wrestling. So I came down, put the laptop on. Didn't even realize she was asleep on the couch. And I said, oh, well, you woke up just in time. You woke up just in time, and she's literally texting me right now. She knows what I'm gonna say. She's literally texting me right now a picture of a throw up face because unbelievable. So she can probably hear me. Hi, honey. But for some reason, Tam and Nasapoy come out first. And I go, this is what you get for not getting off the couch. I said, now you have to watch this entrance. And she's like halfway through, and I'm just watching her face. One of these times, my wife's not a big social media person, so I have to watch. But I really want to record her face as this entrance happens because it's gold. And from a lady who's the president of our church, she swears a lot when it comes to this stuff. And she's just like, Sam, we're just waiting for the reaction. It's about a minute in, and she goes, oh, I hope one of them trips. oh, God, I love my life. This match was awesome. Yes. So not only was this match awesome, but I had that extra precursor going in. I thought this match was really, really good. Azumi and Saya Kamatani, they don't get enough credit for how great a tag team they are. Obviously, when you think of Queen's Quest, you think of Saya and Utami. That's the go-to team. Azumi, a couple years ago when Momo was there, that was the go-to team as well. But when even Azumi and Utami, we've seen them team up quite a bit, and they're a phenomenal team. But when we get to Azumi and Saya Kamatani, and they're really, really good. And again, I'm kind of shocked this wasn't the main event, but it was like third down from the card because you have 4 champions in there. Obviously the tag champions, Azumi, the high-speed champion, Saya Kamatani, the Wonder of Stardom champion. And then you see how good the next 2 matches are. And you're like, oh, okay. I got no problem with that. But I like the psychology of this match, Rob, where it was like, don't get me wrong, Azumi and Saya are great as a team, and Tam and Natsupoi are great individually. But Azumi and Saya, they would get the advantage in the match when it was just like one-on-one. And then Tam and Natsupoi, they would get the advantage back, like doing tag team stuff. So I thought this was really good. It's basically almost like a 50-50 match. And then obviously it ends in the time limit draw. So there was really no clear advantage. Like even like Tam and Natsupoi, they hit like the double drop kick where Azumi and Saya Kamatani, they go to the outside, and then they do they go for the amazing hand-holding dive, the greatest aerial move in the history of pro wrestling. And then Azumi and Saya Kamatani just get up and they punch them down, and they hit double springboard drop kicks. And then they try to get the advantage, and then they get countered, and then they eat 2 stereo German suplexes, which is a trademark from Tam and Natsupoi. So I thought it was great how they were on equal playing field this whole entire match. But anytime Azumi and Saya would get a little bit of advantage, it was a one-on-one situation that didn't last long until the tag champs Tam and Natsupoi would come in and basically just cut them off. So really great job getting the tag team division and the champions over in this match. This was fantastic. If you haven't seen it, please do go and see it. I knew this was going to go to a time limit draw. I didn't care. This was great. I just had 4 stars, and this was probably either this one or the next match we're going to talk about was probably my favorite match of the weekend.
Yeah, I found it difficult to split these 2 matches that we're going to talk about. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head with this. Azumi and Saya Kamatani massively, massively underrated as a tag team because they're just simply not the team you put together very often in Queen's Quest. Melty are fantastic, continuing to put on absolute bangers as they need to after killing the crowd with their entrance. It's great. I am joking. I do actually like their entrance, by the way. Mom.
I'm totally texting a picture of my wife right now, the picture of Tam underneath the Christmas tree. So I'll keep you posted on what happens.
Please do.
If somebody comes in and
yeah, if he goes quiet on the podcast, guys.
Go ahead, buddy.
If he goes quiet on the podcast, guys, I know he said it was the internet. His wife's killed him. Live on air. But yeah, fantastic match. You absolutely right, Matt. It was a foregone conclusion that of any match on these 2 nights, this was going to be the one that went to the time limit draw, because there's just simply no one that takes the pin in this match. Overall, I gave it 4 stars. Again, fantastic match. Another fantastic match that followed immediately after this was the 6-woman tag match. The God's Eye team of Syuri, Mirai, and Amisori defeating the Stars team of Mai Iwatani, Hazuki, and Saya Ida, with Amisori pinning Saya with the Brainbuster in 14 minutes and 30 seconds. Another fantastic match, Matt, with no weak links in it. I mean, we are being spoiled somewhat with this roster at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, it is hands down the most loaded roster in all of wrestling. Again, I can't go to a time that that any roster in wrestling, again, maybe harking back to All Japan in the '90s, was this loaded. But this was absolutely great. The trios team of Shuri, Ami Sourei, Mirai are absolutely fantastic. I don't think we give them enough praise of how great they are. Together as a trio. Obviously, Sherry's the World of Stardom champion and is on an all-time run with that belt. But Hazuki, Mayu, and Saida, they work really, really well together. And I like how, like, in the beginning, the Stars team basically they have to do a quick triple team to get the advantage, and then he basically breaks down a little singles match with Saida and Mirai, where it's just them throwing chops and forearms and lariats. I thought that was really, really good. And then Mayu basically has to come in and uses the lucha, like her lucha style offense, to get the advantage. And all three members of God's Eye, I thought that was cool. How Mayu comes in, a third way through the match and is able to take out every members of God's Eye, and then they go for the three-way boot scrape. And I always say it impresses me so much because when you have three people hitting the ropes at the same time, if you're just a split second off, somebody's going to mess up that spot. And 99 times out of 100, they never do. And this is the time that they gets messed up. And it's poor Mayu is the one that messes up as she's running. She's in the middle, like she's featured. She's the star of stars. For obvious reasons. But I don't know if Saida just hit the ropes wrong or whatever. But when Mayu went to go hit it, the top rope ricocheted and hit her in the back of the neck. And by the time she got her balance, she was already by Shuri and just like threw like the weakest kick. And then of course Mayu just kind of just laughed it off. And then Mayu just being the best ever, literally didn't bother her at all. They went right back to doing crazy stuff. But big fan of when Mayu and Hazuki, they do the double dives into the ropes in between the second and third, the suicide dives. Again, if either of those ladies are a half a second off, half a step up, those ropes are going to ricochet back at the person at the wrong time, and it's going to mess up the form. It did earlier on. Obviously didn't do it here. Picture perfect the way that they do it. And then I just maybe if I'm going to have one little nitpick, I think the match peaked. And then I think they may have went maybe like 45 seconds to a minute longer because like when Ami Sourei hit like the brain buster onto Saida, the crowd was like, oh, okay. Like I think maybe if they would usually I want matches to go longer. This one, I think they hit all the spots when they needed to. And I think it went on maybe just a little bit longer than it needed to. Regardless, this match was fantastic. And again, I don't know which match I like better from this weekend, either this one or the match we talked about before. But I had this one at a solid 4 stars.
Yeah, same here. Can't disagree with anything you've said there. I didn't mind this one going a little bit longer, to be perfectly honest, especially as they had the chance to give a lot of the matches time to breathe. And again, none of these matches, aside from the time limit draw, none of them went over 15 minutes. So this was a breezy card with only 5 matches. I didn't feel like this one felt like it was near 15 minutes at all. And again, all 6 competitors in this match were absolutely fantastic. So I gave
yeah. I'm sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
No, carry on.
I was going to say, I didn't care like that it went too long. I think they hit the peak spot in about 12 minutes and like 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Like if it would have went 30 minutes and I think they kind of peaked the match at a certain spot and went on too long. Yeah, these two could have wrestled, for a year and I wouldn't have cared. But that's basically the point I was trying to say.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's get to the main event then, which was an enormous 10-woman tag team match with Oedo Tai, Natsuko Saki Kashima, Momo Watanabe, Starlight, and Ruaka, defeating the Donna Del Mondo team of Julia, Maika, Himika, Tekla, and Mai Sakurai, with Saki Kashima pinning Mai Sakurai with the most dangerous move in pro wrestling, Kish Kasai, in 14 minutes and 12 seconds. This was a good main event, Matt, but after the 2 matches that we'd seen previous, it was, I don't want to say a notable step down. That's extremely harsh, but it wasn't as good as the previous 2, partly because those previous 2 were such good matches.
Yeah, absolutely. If I would have booked this card, I would have flipped it. And obviously, Oedo Tai is the big heel group here. With them kind of closing the show, I think it would have been better if they would have closed the show with God's Eye and the champion. But again, that's just being nitpicky. Yeah, I totally agree. I thought this match was really, really good. Momo Watanabe, right from the get-go, is going right after Mai Sakurai with some brutal kicks. I mean, she just abusing poor Mai Sakurai to the point where Julia, Mike, and Himika basically come in for the save. And they do the Oedo Tai pose on Oedo Tai early on. And that obviously pisses off all the members of Oedo Tai. And then we get the Oedo Tai / ECW style brawl. And then they do a really good job kind of just getting everybody in, doing one or two moves, getting them out, getting them over. And there was a spot where all the competitors were down and they were giving the match time to breathe. And the crowd was getting really, really hot. Again, the night before, the crowd was kind of cold, complete 180 here. Crowd was really into every single one of the matches. And I just kind of find it funny. You know, you mentioned obviously Saki Kashima wins the match with the most dangerous move in professional wrestling. You know, we saw a solid match with the tag champs versus Sai and Izumi. And then the co-main event was just basically these 6 ladies just beating the crap out of each other. And how does the show end, Rob? With the most dangerous move in all of wrestling. There's the exclamation. There's the exclamation point. I kind of find that a little funny.
So not only this, but Saki has beaten the red belt champion as well a couple of weeks ago. So like I say, the momentum is there. I think Saki Kashima is our next red belt champion. I mean, book it, Rossi. Book it, Rossi.
There it is. There it is. We have Lady C doing Kevin Nash's powerbomb. Saki Kashima, red belt champion. Folks, do not put any money on either of those two things happening. Please don't.
And more importantly, never trust me to book a wrestling promotion. I thought it was an interesting, after the match, we had some interaction between Natsukatora and Mai Himi ahead of their number 1 contendership match at Dream Queendom. And they brought up the fact that a lot of people assumed that Mai Himi were going to win the tag league, which I thought was interesting. And Natsukatora kept up bringing up the fact that Mai Himi have gone for the belt so many times. I mean, they are previous champions as well. She neglected to mention that. But they've gone for the belt so often, they've lost so often, what's going to change? And Himika gets really quite emotional and says, you know, when we fight, you will see a different Mai Himi. So I'm intrigued to see what this different Mai Himi is, whether it's going to be an aesthetic change or whether it's going to be a physical change in the way that they wrestle, or whether there isn't going to be a change and they lose again, and that sort of plays into a storyline. I'd like to see them win. I think we went into a lot of detail last week about how I think it was a mistake that Mai Himi didn't win the tag league, but that's beside the point. I do see Mai Himi winning. And then Starlight Kid.
Wow. New man. We got a new name, folks.
There we go.
Book it.
Tell me that that's not an amazing move name, the Starlight Kill.
Oh my goodness, folks.
There you
What
go.
would it be?
There you go.
We like the black. Yeah, we'll figure that out. But oh man, good for you, buddy. You messing things. You're like Mayu, messing things up, making it better.
Absolutely, got to do, mate. When you mess up as often as I do, you've got to be able to roll with the punches. So Starlight Kid tells Julia to basically pass on a message to Suzu Suzuki, but Julia thinks she calls her Junior, which then starts off this thing of Starlight Kid calling Julia Junior, which was quite funny. The message apparently was to pass on to Suzu Suzuki that she's going to cut off Suzuki's head when they meet in the Hardcore Artist of Stardom Championships match at Dream Queendom. Now, I am not a betting man, Matt, but if I were a betting man, I would put all the money I have on that being an empty threat.
I'm going to say it's not going to happen, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that's not going to. That's back in the day when The Rock used to say, I'm going to rip your lungs out. Like, I know you're The Rock. You're drawing way more money than I'll ever see in my entire life. You're not going to rip somebody's lungs out. I don't think we're going to see a murder on this. It's Christmas time, folks.
Exactly.
I just don't think we're going to see a Mortal Kombat style fatality in that match. What was your star ratings, buddy?
I gave this 3.5.
I had 3 3/4.
Yeah. So if you've got the time, guys, I know that obviously there is an absolute mountain of wrestling out there at the moment and people are having to cherry pick what they watch, and I completely understand. But if you do have time, there are a handful of matches from these shows that I would actively encourage you to go and check out. Those 2 matches from night 2, the tag match, Queen's Quest versus Meltier, and the 6-woman tag, God's Eye and Stars, and then the final 2 matches of night 1 as well, I would go out of my way to see. In terms of the remainder of the tour, let's look ahead to the final final 2 nights. So night 3 will come on Saturday, the 17th of December, tomorrow, as you are listening to this from the Takasaki City, I believe. And the card is as follows. So we have a 3-way match. Mei Sakurai versus Miyu Amasaki. Oh, my computer has just reset. That's incredibly frustrating. 1 second. Sorry about that. There we go.
But while you're doing that, oh, you got it. Okay, I was going to fill time, but you're good, buddy. Go ahead.
Don't know why my iCloud just reset. Mei Sakurai versus Miyu Amasaki versus Hina. We've then got a 6-person tag match with the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Waka Tsukiyama taking on the Stars team of Kogame, Hanan, and Momo Kogo. We then move on to a 6-woman tag match with Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki, and Saya Ida taking on the Oedo team of Saki Kashima and Fukigen Death. 8-woman tag to follow. Syuri, Mirai, Amisori, and Tomoka Inaba taking on the Donna Del Mondo team of Julia, Maika, Himika, and Tekla. And then finally, an 8-woman tag match will be the main event. Utami Hayashishita and Sayaka Kamatani and Azumi and Lady C taking on the Oedo team of Natsuka Tora, Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, and Ruaka. So, Matt, is there anything that immediately jumps out at you there?
The main event and the co-main event. Oh man, as much as I love that Queen's Quest team, especially you're putting Lady C in there with the trio, so we might be able to see the Holy Demon Army finish. I may flip that. I may put the God's Eye DDM just because of Sherry and Julia, but at the same time, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Everything looks pretty well solid, but it's those 2 8-women tag matches as main event and co-main event that literally they can probably wrestle with their eyes closed and it'll be great.
Yeah, I agree. If we're comparing the 2 nights, night 3 and night 4, I think night 4 actually looks a little bit of a more interesting card. So this is the following day, Sunday the 18th of December, from New Sumpia Toshigi Gymnasium. We open with a singles match, between Saya Ida and Lady C. We then have a 3-way tag battle with Mai Himi taking on Kogama and Momo Kogo, and Azumi and Miyu Amasaki. We've then got a 6-woman tag, Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Waka Tsukiyama of the Cosmic Angels taking on the Oedo team of Tora, Saki Kashima, and Ruaka. 6-person tag after that with the God's Eye team of Mirai, Amisori, and Syuri taking on Julia, Mei Sakurai, and Tekla. And then in our main event, we have got a 3-way 9-person tag battle with the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki, and Hanan taking on the Queen's Quest team of Utami Hayashishita, Saya Kamatani, and Hina. And they are also taking on Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, and Rina of Oedo Tai. What about that card then, Matt? To me, there's lots and lots of little interesting things there. I'm intrigued by the 3-way battle at the start of the card. And this 9-person 3-way looks quite interesting, the main event.
Yeah, I'm kind of disagree with you just a little bit. I think the night 3, I think that card looks a little bit better, especially like I said with the 2 8-people team as the main and co-main. But yeah, that there's going to be some interesting matchups with those 9 ladies in the main event, and the co-main event as well should be fun as well. Regardless, both shows look really, really good. I'm really looking forward to watching them, and I'm really looking forward to talking about them with you next week, my friend. But yeah, that 9-person one with Heenan and Hannon, because they weren't on any of these shows that we just reviewed, so maybe they're on holiday break from school. Again, priorities, ladies. Come on. Saying that to the school teacher, right? Come
Absolutely.
on, get your priorities together. If you had a kid that missed 8 days and what were you doing? Be like, oh, I was hanging out with Kevin Nash for 8 days. A+, here you go, sir.
Learning how to do the powerbomb with the cigar put out.
There it is.
In terms of our next episode then, so the next episode is due to come out on the 23rd of December. Obviously, we'll record it a couple of days before that, but that will include our review of New Blood 6, from the 16th of December. That will, of course, be main evented by the Future of Stardom Championship match between Amisori and Ruaka, and we'll also see Nene Takahashi in a passion injection match versus Lady C. So we'll be checking those out. Absolutely. We're also going to be looking at those two shows from the year-end tour, which I've already mentioned, and of course we'll be giving our predictions and looking ahead to year-end Climax, which is due to air on the 24th of December, and Dream Queendom, which will air on the 29th. Obviously after that we'll be looking ahead to Dream Queendom. I am away from the 29th to the 31st, so our review of Dream Queendom might be a little bit late. I'm just giving you as much notice as I can, just because we want to do something a little bit special for that. So we'll keep you updated via social media and probably have a definitive date for the release of the podcast next week on next week's episode. In the meantime, that about wraps up everything from us. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Thank you to all our fantastic patrons as well over at patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. If you can subscribe over there, you'll get loads and loads and loads of bonus content at whatever tier you join. The high speed tier for $1, the white belt tier at $3, or the red belt tier at $5. Lots and lots of great stuff that Matt is doing over there. You can buy our merch. Just check it out in the link of the podcast, or indeed you can go to the website www.thestardomcast.com, where you can click the link. You can also check out title histories, roster pages, tournament updates, all that sort of stuff, as well as an archive of all our episodes of the podcast as well. If you can, if you don't want to subscribe to the Patreon, which is absolutely fine, please leave us a review on Apple Podcast. It takes 30 seconds to leave us a 5-star review and just a quick comment. It really does help the podcast out, so that would be great if you could do that. It is Christmas. Consider it our Christmas present. We'd love you forever. Also, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You can find us on all manner of social media on @TheStardomCast. You can talk to me on Twitter at @RealRobGoodwin. Matt, where can they find you? And then take us home, good sir.
Absolutely, sir. Well, I don't want to leave anybody on the hook. My wife just told me that I was rude for sending that picture of Tam underneath the Christmas tree, and then told me that she's making me lunch. So what a sweetheart. But anywho, thanks to everybody for all the merchandising. We've seen a lot of people buying the shirts, and if you have a shirt or getting a shirt, by all means, please put it on the social media and tag myself, Rob, and or the podcast. We greatly appreciate that. They do make great Christmas gifts. But anywho, if you guys want to get a hold of me on social media, hit me up on Twitter and or the Instagram, Matt Turner OF. If social media is not your thing, I completely understand. I have an email address, thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Once again, folks, we cannot say thank you enough for all the positive feedback that we've been getting, and all the thumbs up that we've been getting. As great as 2022 has been, we have a feeling 2023 is going to be even bigger, and we're glad that you're along for the ride with us. And as I stated earlier in the podcast, get your match listings to me for Customer Appreciation Week, month for January, for what matches you want me to do the watch along with for January. Remember, the first 4 people that send me a message, those are the 4 matches that I'm going to get. And like I always say, folks, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast, because we're all in this together. And everybody's different. Everybody's special.